rifle here, traded my 204 Savage Predator for this 300 Weatherby, a anticipated elk gun, and I haven't even really shot it too much, but I just decided to do a pro bed, glass bed and pillar bed, and so I'm trying to fit the pillars in here, just show you guys how this works here, because it wasn't the most intuitive thing, but it wasn't too bad. Just read the directions real close. So these pillars, I've read reviews on the Weatherby Vanguard here on a couple websites. There's a guy that had 2 rifles and another guy that had 1, so 3 rifles of specifically the Vanguard, not specifically this caliber, and they pillar bedded it and glass bedded the action after, of course, and they got half MOA groups out of it. So hopefully I have the same results, and I'm sure it'll probably be pretty dang close. If it's even close to that, I'd be happy. So you look at these pillars in here. So what I did is I drilled out with a 9/16 bit, and then kind of did a little bit of contouring right here on this front pillar from the inside. But I'll just show you this really quick right here. So these 3 marks here, you want those going forward, and you want it just a little over the stock, because you don't really want the stock to fit tight yet. You just want the pillars to be tight against the action, and the bottom plate to be against that. And so these 3 little marks go against the front, and you want them just flush. You can see that's just flush there, barely, and then that way you get nice tight tension when you bed the pillars. You want to do that separately than bedding the action. That's my first time doing this, by the way. So as you can see in this area here, this bedding lock here, this channel was not open enough for me to get this 9/16 drill bit down in here centered bore. It doesn't have to be perfectly tight, because you actually want a little bit of room here for a good amount of bedding. If the bedding is thin in any area, you're probably not going to get the strength that you need for longevity, you know. It's good to have a little bit of room, because the bedding is probably stronger than this material anyway. And I did a little bit on the back side of this too here, because that bit just wasn't seem like it was lining up perfect. I just did it freehand, and you know, whatever, it turned out fine. So I'm going to glass bed this, or bed the pillars in first, let that cure, and then come back, and then I'm going to drill some holes here, and then along the side of the action as well, and here, and then, you know, probably a couple more on this side. You want to do a little bit of inletting, and that's what this bit here is for. Just to go in and make some cavities in here, so that that bedding can bond to something other than this real soft, you know, slick stock. And it actually wouldn't be a bad idea to go through here and rough this up. You know, take that bit and just kind of go here and score through that area. I also did open up the barrel chamber so it's free floated. I was thinking about maybe laying in a piece of aluminum bar stock, like a, I don't know, 3/8 or 1/4 inch or something, you know, up to here. I may or may not do that, I don't know. It's a pretty rigid stock, so I don't think I'm too worried about it, especially when I opened up this barrel channel. It's pretty free floated. It's good and free float, so I think I'll probably just leave it as it is, because I don't want to really add a whole lot of weight to it. But anyways, yeah, that's where I'm at now. So now I'm going to start mixing up my compound and putting some release agent on, and probably pull the trigger off. Okay, so it's been about 24 hours or so, and I pulled the action out of the stock that we've pillar bedded, and you can see here it looks really good. Has a nice clean flat surface right here. It's glass smooth right across that pillar, and then in this section here. So now I'm going to go through and carve out a couple holes here in this area, and along this side rail here, and this rail is here as well, and this upper part of this receiver stock area here, anywhere where that receiver is going to mate up with, basically. And just kind of carve out some spots for some more epoxy to go in, the bedding action, the glass bed, and go ahead and get a nice full glass bed in here. Now that the pillars are in, the bottom side looks a little gummy, but that's fine, that doesn't matter. That is not the important part. The important part's on the top here, where it meets up, and that looks pretty clean. Got a little bit of compound on the action, a couple little spots. Hopefully it flakes off, be easy enough. Yeah, it's coming off. Yeah, so first time doing it, looks okay, not too bad. Should definitely help improve accuracy. We'll find out. Alright, time to do the carving. Gone through and inletted a bunch of this here, kind of remove some material so that compound can have something to bite into. Anywhere where the action is going to mate up on the sides. Specifically, this action block area here, and the barrel support here, you can do that a little bit too. And yeah, so now it's ready to probably grease up the action again and make some compound and get ready. Probably throw some wax around the inside of this chamber here to make sure it doesn't make a huge mess. Around the inside of the magazine well here, trigger guard area, wax that up. Yeah, should be ready to go. I did use, so this is a little carving tool I used, just a little basic Dremel carving tool. Alright, so the bedding, glass bedding is in place, and you can see it right there on the inside. Going to let it cure, see how it turns out. Couple reviews that use this one. It's the what's the model number? High Score or Score High 2000. They said they did the same Weatherby Vanguard and got half MOA. I'd be happy with that. So cool. I'll let it dry and see how it looks in a day. Took the action apart after doing the action bedding, and I have a few bubbles here, pretty good gaps. I mean, there's a bubble, but here's a nice little void here, and then on this other side, kind of the same thing in this area. It looks like where a lot of the compound leaked down instead of up, so I'm probably going to go ahead and mix up just a little bit more compound and smash these sections full and put it back together for one more last final. But the rest of it looks really good and clean. Straight, tight edges. It fits in there like a glove. Popped right out. So, almost there. Just one little final touch-up area on this middle section here, and then we'll be good to go. I mean, even the rear here, it made it up perfect with that action lug too. So that's going to be a really tight fit, and hopefully it should be very, very accurate. We'll find out. I mean, I don't have any pre-action bedding and pillar job groups since this is a brand new rifle, but if it shoots half MOA or so, or something close to that, I'd be really happy with it, and take that. That's perfect action. Alright, well, job and accuracy. Second try, got the bubbles that were in here, so it looks nice and clean and flush all the way back. Looks really good. Probably gonna have to carve some of this out on the middle here, and definitely this little section right here probably. And it looks like I got a little bit sticking to the receiver here and there. The last time I kind of scraped at it, it popped right off. So get it all cleaned up, put it back together, and give you one last look at it. So, yep, ready to put back together now. It's pretty sweet. Cool. cool. Alright, well, this is the end of it. Just finishing cleaning up and putting it all back together and making sure everything functions. Got a little bit of stuff to clean up, you know. A little bit of residue here and there I gotta go through. I just wanted to check for fit and function, and everything works. Safety works. Yep. And that goes click. Everything looks really tight. There's a little bit of residue there, but for the most part it's pretty clean. Good enough for me, you know. Pretty tight. I just kind of bedded all the way up to about here, and then back to the back of the action as well too. This area was a little tight here on the bolt release. Now everything works there good too. Bolt release, clicks out, yep. So yeah, just I'm gonna tear it apart, just oil up everything really good inside, because I rinsed out the stock to get all the water and debris out. But yeah, there it is, the ProBed 2000 with the pillars installed. I've never done this before, it's my first time, and hopefully we get some, you know, half MOA-ish groups. I'd be really happy with that. Not too difficult to do for a fairly novice person. Pretty simple. And yeah, that's it. I guess hopefully proof's in the pudding, and she starts shooting clover leaves. I got an interesting load I want to try out. I got a couple different loads. This is a 300 Weatherby, of course. Couple of different loads I'm thinking about doing. Like a 150 Barnes tipped triple shock at about 35-40. That's smoking fast. And if it doesn't like those, then probably a Barnes 175 LRX, or even a 130 tipped triple shock. But I'm kind of leaning towards the 150. I think that's going to be probably one of the best loads for this caliber for all around, out to about 500 yards. It's a laser, it's fast, it'll penetrate, and obviously have 100% weight retention because it's Barnes. So yeah, and then the scope. I'm going to wait on the scope a little bit. I'm just using a Leupold 6-18 by 40 Variax 2. Which actually was a varmint scope I had, but it should be sufficient on this, and hopefully it'll hold 0. For the time being, for load development and stuff, I do want to get something with a reticle holdover. I like those. Kind of leaning for a Zeiss, older Zeiss Conquest with the Z800 reticle, or maybe even maybe the Vortex LTH or LHT, whichever that one is. In the mil radian reticle that goes to 10, which would take this, you know, out past 1,000, which would be nice, because if it's shooting half MOA, then, you know, this is a 1,000-yard gun. In the right scenario. A lot of people might not like that idea, but hey, if you got an elk out there and it's standing broadside, that's a really big target. You know, I used to target shoot a 338 Lapua at 1,000 yards, and it's hard to miss with that. You know, animals are different. You want to give them the respect, but also an elk's an elk, and if you can put it down, and why not? A lot of people shoot long-range archery for elk and go out 80, 100 yards or better, you know. So, and these are professionals. So, I mean, practice, know what you're capable of, and execute, you know. Just get it done. So, anyways, later.